What's up, everyone? Welcome to Tuesday Talks. As you can see, I've ditched Dave today, and I'm doing this solo. No, Dave had a family thing he had to go help with, so today we're going to do this without him. And to start with, we're going to be talking about the tools of the trade. What do I mean by this? We do a lot of things with D&D. We play a lot of games, tabletop role-playing games in general, and what do we use to play those? Specifically right now, I'm going to talk about like the digital assets that we use to play those, the things that we do in order to make those, a fuller experience, things that we enjoy using. This is going to be virtual tabletops. It's going to be the mini and tokens that we use, some of my data storage, all those things. So here's the thing. First and foremost, we're not sponsored by any of these companies. They're all things we generally love and genuinely love and enjoy using. And so they'll get a little plug here just because they're things that I'm going to be using. Thank you for anyone who wants to join us live. And if there's a favorite tool of you, whether you're watching this live or later, you can either drop it in chat or drop it in the comments below. And love to hear about the tools that you like. These aren't going to be an all-inclusive list of what I use, but they are definitely going to be a good selection of things that I use. I'm going to start because I've got a lot of things open in order to show everyone. I'm going to start with some of the more labor intensive on my computer so I can shut them down and move on from there. So let's kick it off with a pickup that I've got that you can get on Steam as well, Dungeon Alchemist. So if we're taking a look at Dungeon Alchemist here on this page, we've got in fact, I guess I should have let you guys see my cursor here so that you can notice when I'm pointing at things. So this is a room I used. I don't have all the assets in here at the moment that I used in the game for my one-shot yesterday, the Lost Heart Raiders. If you want to check that out, it would be on Twitch, and we'll eventually make it to YouTube once I've had a chance to edit it. But it's a great little program for making buildings, dungeons, whatever, and it uses AI. So what you would do is you choose what type of room you want. So here I've got mansion selected, although I used castle originally, so let's keep with castle. Let's say I wanted to add a dungeon to this castle here, and you just highlight the selection area that you want to build on, and you tell it to go. And it's going to actually do all the work for you. It's going to put a door in, it's going to put all the stuff in. Now, sometimes too much, right? There's too many pillars, there's too many things. And the cool thing is you can get down, you can zoom in, you can change the color of the lights, all sorts of customizable stuff. I'm not really going to go into all the features. Just a cool way to show you really quickly things that you can do. So I don't like all those pillars, so I'm going to delete them. I can move them around. You can even grab from their large library of assets over here and say we wanted to do, I don't know, this canoptic jar, and we're going to drop it down. And then we want to make it bigger because I think it would be a cool skull on a pedestal. Whatever you want to do. Very easy to make a dungeon really quickly. It is visually appealing, and it's a one-time fee thing, which is one of my things. Like I like free or one-time fee for the most part, because as it is, we all know these hobbies can be very expensive. You're buying books, you're buying dice, you're buying all the little things that you want to do with, and if you're going to have to pay every month in order to use a service or use a system, it can kind of get prohibitive at a certain point, and you just want to mitigate as much as you can of that. So find programs, in my opinion, that you can pay a one-time fee and utilize. So this is Dungeon Alchemist. It's a cool little tool. You can change the flooring, you can change the walls. It's all customizable, so you can even start with like a room type. let's say, and we want a different floor tile. You can change all that on the fly. It's one of those things that you could describe a scene to players, and then they decide to interact with it, and you're like, oh dang, I didn't have a map. You could probably go, let's take 15 minutes, and you could throw a fairly decent tool together, a map here together that you can play with, and then you can export it as a VTT file that you can import into your favorite virtual tabletop, or a picture or whatever. You can even put minis and tokens in here. So let's say you had your party and you have your fighter. If you wanted to, this could be your virtual tabletop. If you're playing live with people or you're sharing screens, you would just have to, move them around for the person. There's supposed to be a Hero Forge import. I've not gotten that to work on mine. Maybe it's because we have so many models in Hero Forge, but there's supposed to be that option. Monsters, things, these were preset assets they gave us. So yeah, this is, once again, Dungeon Alchemist. You can pick it up, I know, on Steam. I don't know the current price. I want to say it's around $40 US, but not 100% sure on that exact price. Speaking of making maps for dungeons and such, the one that Dave likes to use all the time, excuse me while I close out Dungeon Alchemist, is Dungeon Draft. I want to say this was $20 US. It is a pretty neat little program, and it's the one I used all the time before picking up Dungeon Alchemist, and I still use from time to time for certain things like this, building a ship. So taking that ship from its walls, you just build wooden walls, you can twist and warp them. It as well has assets. So let me just, I don't use this one as much. So in this case, I would use like a wooden wall, and you can just draw out the points that you want the wall to go. And when you're done, it makes the little wall thing. And then you can add in flooring. You can change all of that. I'm going to get rid of that because this was a ship I built. The other wonderful thing about this is that you can do different layers on the ship. So you can have the top deck here, the quarter deck, I guess, the main deck here, including the captain's quarters inside and the balcony that goes along with it. The sail you can see here, and then you can go lower to the normal crew deck, and I have a little tiny galley and a latrine and some bunks for people to stay in. And then you can go even lower, and this would be like your cargo space in the ship. So it's a nice little program. You can throw down walls, you can drag in assets, as you saw on some of these. There's table, chairs, you can manipulate them. Dave is really good with this program, so he even will build objects that aren't even in the assets by using bits and pieces of the assets and piece them all together to make a very elaborate thing like a crane or things like that. And you can even have preset things that you can drop in, like here's a crane. And this again is using various other assets that have been stapled together, or a caravan wagon. Let's go down to the bottom because you could put this, I don't know what just happened, the wagon here in the ship. You can change the angle of everything, so then you can just move it around, So cool little system to be able to create a very customizable shape. Like Dungeon Alchemist is a little bit more rigid in it mainly starts in squares. They have started adding ways to do customized shapes where you can add in your own images and stuff onto them as well. But if you want things like a ship where it's going to be a very complex shape, you want some curves in there, this is good, and in the right hands or enough practice, it is even better. If anyone has any questions in chat or otherwise, feel free to drop them in chat. Since this one popped up next when I closed down Dungeon Draft, Hero Forge tends to be a way I like to make minis. Dave and I use Hero Forge. Again, we are not sponsored, but they do give us permission to use their product on our streams without having to pay any rights or anything like that, as they are proprietary art. This you can customize in so many ways, change the looks, the colors, the clothes. So if there's a specific look of a creature or monster or whatever that you want, you could probably build it here in Hero Forge. And then you can export it by going to the booth, taking a picture of it using their capture and token. Now we do pay a monthly subscription to Hero Forge. However, it's like $5 or $6 a month. It's not that bad, and for the amount that we use it for our stream, it's phenomenal. You can change the frames, so very good way to get decent art for your character. There are amazing artists out there, and if you have the money to spend to have a custom artwork done for your character concept, that's phenomenal. It's great. But we do so many characters for our stream doing Hero Forge. It's also a way to let our players create their own mini, their own look, and send it to us. And then we have access to it, that we can then create tokens and bits for our videos, for our streams, for all of that, without the players actually having to spend any money. Because Hero Forge in general, you can create a miniature for free on their platform and share it with people for free. It's some of the pro assets that we pay for, and some of the ability to capture the minis and stuff on our own is part of the paid subscription. Of course, you can then, let's say you loved your character so much, or you're moving to a tabletop game, you can then go and purchase a mini and choose the material you want, whether you want it colored for you already. They do have colored plastic. I personally have not used any of these, so I can't speak for the quality of the paint, that the colored plastic that they use, whether it gives the same depth and shades as this. I have only heard good things so far from these guys. You can even download a digital asset, whether it's a 3D mini that you can drop into a 3D virtual tabletop, or a file to print it on your own, which is a cool little thing. They're a miniature company, but they're definitely okay with, here you can pay us a smaller fee, print it for yourself, you print it as many times as you want, which in my mind, I'd say if I had a 3D printer, I would design some like soldiers, like generic soldier token that I could use, and buy the STL files, print them on my own, make an army of the soldiers that I need for, an upcoming battle in a tabletop game, live and in person. So this one is Hero Forge, another phenomenal program that we love to use. If there's another miniature creating program that you guys like out there, better than Hero Forge, again, let us know, because we're always looking to see, though we do love our Hero Forge, and we do love what they've done by allowing us to use it. Everyone probably knows this one, D&D Beyond. We are looking for a replacement for this coming up when our subscription runs out. We're hoping to be able to step away from it. It is a good platform in general. There are a few things that sometimes get a little wonky on special features, and you kind of have to go in and tweak things in order to make them happen. But you can create a character here. If you own the books and assets for it, or your DM does, they're being shared with you, you can access all those in character creation. It will help you with the rules as far as like when I'm multi-classing, do I qualify, do I not, which ones are available. It won't even let you select one that you're not legally allowed to take because of your multi-classing abilities that you're using. So this is a character I made just for fun. It's a thought exercise that I do every now and then. I see something in a concept, and so I choose to do that. So this one in particular is Kender Cleric. So this would be, I put DL, so if I play Dragonlance, I know this would be a Dragonlance character. And so this has a multiple build. I don't remember the concept I was going on this. I just pulled open one to show people the features. You can access your actions. So the cool thing is they have all your main actions right here on a page. So like your frequently cast spells. You can even add custom things onto here. Very nice little way to like quickly be able to see what you can do. Scroll through all that stuff, all your ability scores, and then you can just click on something and it's going to roll a dice for you and tell you the score. My luck continues. I don't think I rolled above a 5 on Hero Forge recently, but that's not true for everyone. I just, for some reason, cannot roll on here. You can also go into the inventory, access all the inventory items you could want, plus any magical items that you are currently have unlocked. So all in all, it's a good system. Like I said, there's a few little things here and there that don't seem to line up properly. We just had canceled our subscription, so when our year's up, we're hoping to have a replacement for it. Just because, again, I'm trying to limit the amount of pay every month things. We're also trying to step away in case we want to play other tabletop role-playing games. I've heard things about Alchemy, but I know they're still in the works, and I'm trying to find a comparable system that we can use. The other wonderful thing beyond just character sheets, and then one more word on the character sheets, is there are the share option. So if you have a character concept that you want to share with your DM, first, if he had created a campaign, you could just have that character built in the campaign, and then your DM has access to it. Or you can click it and send it over to your DM and say, hey, what do you think about this? Does this work for you? You can put notes in here. Let me get rid of my bad roll. You can put notes in here, putting in organizations, allies, enemies, all the stuff that you might want to know right here. Extras, you could add mounts or familiars or things that you might want quick access to. So you can even click manage extras, and then let's say I wanted to add a familiar, and then it's going to give me some options. But again, they give you Aarakocra on here, and that's not going to be your familiar. So you then have to go through this and search for something. So we're going to search for an owl, and okay, so here I can add that owl. That's one of those quirky little things. Like, you give me the option to say that this is a familiar, but then you give me the option to get like Aarakocras and things like that. I guess there might be some games that allow you to do that, but you would think that would be more the exception and not an easily accessible feature. The other beautiful thing about this, the one I was about to get to before I jumped back over there, is the game rule compendium that you have quick access to, plus searchability. So you can look at any of the classes, all the subclasses you have access to. You can look at the spells, which I use all the time. So someone's going to cast, I don't know, let's just do a fireball, which is a, standard one, but you're like, I don't remember the radius of the fireball. You type it in and you click filter, and there it is, fireball, and it's going to tell you quick the basics. So it's an action, it's 150 feet range with a 20-foot radius, and then you can click on it and open up and see it's 8d6 fire, and then dex save. All that stuff's really cool. Makes when you're playing very easy to access this information really fast. You also can just access the books that you own in particular, open them up, and go ahead and see directly what's in there. You can build encounters in here, accessing, again, the monsters you've unlocked. Again, we've already covered the character building. You can search up like magical items. I love this when the DM's like, well, what's some items your character might like? Well, then I can say, okay, what do I have access to? Uncommon. All right. Do I want to attune? Let's say I don't want to waste an attunement. And it will give you all the things that you can look for. And this one will give me 5 pages. This one itself is official D&D, of course, content. So if you're playing another tabletop RPG, this is not the one for you. I would like to hear from you. Which do you like? Our friend and DM now for the XP Guild, Nathan, is going to be running a Fate system using the Fari app, which allows you to build characters for Fate inside Fari. And it's like a semi-virtual tabletop where you can have like information and stuff pop up. It's a very good system for theater of the mind type games. I did not prep that here, but I'd love to hear the other things that you enjoy for your character builds in particular, but also if you have a good rule site like this for your favorite role-playing game and why you like it. All right, let us go to let's go to virtual tabletops. So this is the one I've been using a lot in my Shattered Lands game. Excuse me, one moment here. Normally I have Dave to shut me up for a little bit. You guys don't have that benefit. So this particular one is called Foundry. Again, this keeps with my, and I'm going to expand the view just a little bit so you guys get the whole Foundry image here. This goes with my pay once and done. I want to say I paid $50 US for this program itself, and it is the virtual tabletop. You guys are seeing the DM's view of this. So this gives me all these different scenes that I've built up over the course of playing it, and I've decided not to delete them as of yet, because who knows, maybe I'll use it sometime. Some of them you might recognize, like the ship Lower Deck. Oh, this isn't the same ship that I used before, but this is a similar one. That was actually the one you guys were looking at, is the feather ones. So I have the feather deck with the captain's quarters, the feather helm, the feather hull. So it's an easy way to kind of set all these up in a quick and fast way to access them in the game. So you know your players are going to be on the ship, so you can go here and manipulate the tokens. We'll get to the tokens in a moment. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can ping, so you can point something out to your players. You can draw on here using some of the things, like the measuring tool circle template will give you like a spell's radius. So let's say a fireball, you can draw this out to 20 feet, and it does all that work for you, and then you can just kind of move it around. We use Owlbear Rodeo a lot for a virtual tabletop. I did not load that one for you guys today. It is another good and free, at least the basic versions are free, to use Owlbear. I always have the hardest time with the measuring the circle on that one, because it doesn't have that easily customizable circle like this one does. So they all have pros and cons. It's a matter of figuring it out. One of the things I love is I put my maps on here too. So this is like a nation map. Again, this was used in my game yesterday of the Raiders of the Lost Heart. And I drew up the map, and I will get to the program I used to draw this map on there before. in a little bit. I'll talk about that. But so in this one, I have a token of the ship that they're using, so I can kind of move it around the map and position where they are. It's one of the things I do for that. The other benefit I have, if I set everything up correctly, is does the line of sight options. So in this case, I can click on one of my players and I can move his token around. And this shows me what the player would see and how they would see it. So they would see this light shifting, and it goes gray in areas. Whoops. You can also have their character sheets loaded in there. But it will go gray in the areas that they've already seen, but yet don't currently. So if, let's say, this guy is out here, see, now he can't see these guys that are inside until he moves to a position that the light and his line of sight would give him. Since we're not playing on a board where you can get down there and look eye level, these are great fun ways to add some immersion and give that fog of war aspect too for your players. So this particular character may not know that there's a guy with a crossbow standing right here about to shoot his friends because of the angle of his line of sight is not good enough. You can also open and close doors, being that I made this particular map using Dungeon Alchemist and dropped it into here as a virtual tabletop. There are lots of extensions you can add on. So this one, I would say, if you're going to use Foundry, you might want to do some YouTube watching of best ways to set it up, some of the best assets to add in, because some of the things, like being able to easily load a virtual tabletop, was one of the assets I picked up for free, but I had to load it onto the program. So yeah, this one is Foundry. It is, like I said, it's a one-time fee virtual tabletop, which, is a well worth it endeavor for, spending once and not having to worry about having to spend every single time or every month. Speaking of, a little bit more all rolled in, because Roll20 can act as your character builder and all those things as well, right? You can make characters, you can roll the dice on here. It has some of the rules compendium on here, at least the open source stuff. You can buy a module and run it through here. So I did that once a while back. I bought Lost Mines of Phandelver, and I ran that for a group using Roll20, which was very nice because it had all the assets of almost every encounter that you're going to come across, with the stats and the monsters and things that are in there. This one, I had the map. I purchased the map through a Kickstarter, where I got like an asset pack and a physical big book of maps, and I utilized the map to set up this dock situation. And I had a ship that I made into a token with characters on here. If you are looking closely, you'll see that there are some, and I'll highlight that by bringing them in, some items on here that are invisible. You can do that here by moving the layers, and Foundry has a similar option, which is even easier because you click on the token and you can click invisible, and it's a one-click thing. This, you click, you go to layer, you move to map layer, and I clicked on the wrong thing and totally screwed that up, and so you gotta undo that. See, this is the thing. You gotta go to the GM info, and then you can click on them, and then you can switch it to token layer, and then you can go back to objects and tokens, see, and then now, for some reason, it's below this, so it's kind of a pain at times, and now I just moved it off the map, so I don't know if I'll get access to it. Anyways, it is a good program. I've used it not a lot recently, so that is one reason why it's really rusty. But I think this has been a powerhouse in the virtual tabletop community for a long time. So if you have that kind of overall drive to pay and play, you can use this for free too. You don't get some of the more advanced features like the line of sight options, and I forget all the things you pick up with the assets, but you also won't have the ads at the start, which really was never a big thing. This you can also play like using their video chat system, and your little, like down here where my name is, there'd be a little face of me, and audio and video could come through this as well. I've never had the easiest time with that. There's always a player or two whose internet didn't work right with it, something, so we ended up switching to other programs like Zoom or Skype. Some people use Discord as well. It's up to you if you're playing virtually how to utilize that, whether you wanted to try the native platform here, or whether you wanted to go to other things like Skype, Zoom, Discord. Use whatever works for you. This I've also used in person, where I would run a game and manipulate these. I have a couple monitors and a TV that I can hook up. So I have put like the map on the TV and mirrored it over here, or even opened up a secondary page with like the player's view over there and the DM's view over here, and then I can manipulate objects, which is another thing Foundry you can do as well, is they have links and you're hosting it on your own, so you do need a good internet connection for Foundry. You can then share that with your players. They basically jump on your computer as a server and are able to manipulate their stuff using their own separate unique login information, so you can restrict how much access they have to things, keep things hidden from them. I also created a separate account for that so that it was like my watcher account, so when we stream those, we use that so that has the access that we want to all the maps, and the ability for the players to, the viewers to see what the players would see as you move that camera around, directing people to the views. So this was my Roll20 option. All right, getting long-winded as always. My world map option that I like is Wonder Draft. This is made by the same people that do Dungeon Draft. Again, it's a one-time fee. I want to say $20 for it. There's some other things you can do, like purchase asset packs that have different maps. I think we spent a little bit to get the pirate one, and I think one other, but I don't remember which off the top of my head. Maybe the elves. But it is great. You just paint on, you can paint on land, and then you can color the land and add in tokens, symbols they call them here, into it to build maps like this. So these are all stuff that are on here that I utilize to piece together to make these islands for my game. It's perfect for the big worlds. Dave has gotten to the point where he makes like cities out of it, like, so it's still a bigger map, but it's like a city map, so you're getting a little bit more zoomed in than this, where you have the bigger buildings. Shows you all that. So it's very versatile for any of your map needs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to really tell you other than you can draw any world map you want, really. It's got rivers and paths. You can put in lakes and water. You can color everything so that you see there's different Like if you look at this island down here, it's got different gradients. And so what I'll do is I'll make this big map, but then oftentimes I'll like zoom in like this, and I'll cut out, an image of this island and utilize that for, say, they are adventuring on that island right now, so then I could put that into my virtual tabletop as a blown up island map, and I can show them where they are on the island. So once again, remember, not sponsored by any of these people, so we're not getting any money of them. Been going on for a while on this, so let me touch on a couple quick things that I like to use. Organizationally, if you're gonna build things, again, this is a free program that I use. You can share this with people depending on how much you want to give to people, but all sorts of options. So this has, right now I'm clicked on Shattered Lands. I also have things like I like whiskey, so I have information of some of the stuff that I liked. But as far as DM and all that stuff, I have, so here, my world of the Shattered Lands. I have the beginning, I have the myths, something about the myths, how they survive, the ships of the air. You can put in images like that one did. I found these, maybe altered some of them, but they're things I found or use. And this is mainly just to drop to the players, like, oh, you want to know about my deities? Well, here's this page. Let me share this with you, or let me copy this and send it over. You can make sub-pages. So here's all the kingdoms. This was my original rough sketch, just so that I knew where I wanted things to locate and which areas were owned by what. Eventually, I'd like to make a big wonder draft of it all, but it's kind of intimidating to do all at once for me at the moment. You can also hyperlink it. So if I want to go to the Kuvash that we were playing in last time, I could click on that and it brings up the information for Kuvash, which also has its own sub pages. So particularly Nolvorik and the big island of Ukath. Still can't say it. I made it up. So great way to organize your thoughts, organize your world. You can do things like, so here's my game. I have some of the game notes that I take during the game sessions so that I can remember, okay, this is what we did, this is who they were. I can find specific things. So one of the early episodes, I plotted out all the various NPCs that they could run into, a little bit about them all, some of the intricacies in that, a bit of my information of what my intro is going to be, all the stuff that I want. You can plot that all out, make separate little subfolders for them all. Dave and I use this for organizing some of our show ideas, some of our products that we're working on. You can have this, like I said, you can share the folders, you can share the notebook with other people, and you can even lock things. So like Dave and I have a section that we've shared with people, but then we have one page in there that we're like, okay, we don't want you to see that because it's got some of our proprietary information or secret information that we don't want players to have yet. You can put a password on that. So very usable for organizing your thoughts and your information. Once again, photos, drawing, you can do it all on here. You could probably even share this with a player or with your Zoom friends and use this to take notes. In fact, normally on Tuesday Talks, this is our notepad. Dave is showing you his view of this while I type on my view, and it pops up over there for you. So a nice little system you can utilize, showing people what you want to show them. Anyways, that would be OneNote is free Microsoft program, so check that out. Another thing would be just the Drive. Google Drive is a great way to store assets that you are then going to share with your players, manipulate, and pass around. So here I have some of my Shattered Lands things, some of the flags that I was using. So I had built these 3 nation flags, some of the island maps. So this is a particular one of the cities, and that way I could send them a link of this that they could view whenever they wanted. They don't have to download, they don't have to store, they can get access to these if I want. I could have a Word file in here that has all the information that they might want. So I could have in here a document that has, I don't know, the various factions of the place. It's a good way when you're starting out, when you're building up a new campaign, and you have that mile-long, drop that you want to pass off to people. You can easily do that. You can send them a link to this, and they can utilize that. So anyways, that's probably long enough about me talking about some of the tools of the trade that we use here at the XP Guild, that we've come to love. Again, would love to hear what your tools of the trade are. What are the things that you utilize, that you enjoy in your D&D games? Are you using any of these? Are there problems about them that you've noticed that either caused you to go elsewhere, or workarounds that you've figured out? Please drop it in the comments below. We would love to hear your take on the tools of the trade. Tune in next time for our 1D&D weapons review.